This isn't the end. It's the beginning of something greater. Because real power doesn't announce itself loudly. It moves with quiet, unwavering force. And for Elijah Carter, this moment, it was just his spark. But let me tell you first about the woman who set it all in motion. Lucille Carter didn't walk into that airport terminal. She moved through it with the kind of grace that silences chaos. Slow. Sure. Regal. The type of presence that didn't ask for respect, but commanded it all the same. At 78 years old, with 3 children raised, 1 husband buried, and 2 bouts of cancer survived, Lucille had earned every line on her face and every pearl around her neck. Her back was slightly curved like a willow bowing to time, but her spirit? Steel. She didn't need attention, but my God, she deserved it. Gate 17B was in full disarray. Children cried. Passengers juggled luggage and stale pretzels. A flight attendant with the personality of a clipboard barked instructions. Lucille's cane tapped a steady rhythm on the tile. The silver handle bore her initials, LC. Not for show, but for balance. She didn't need sympathy. She needed space to move with dignity. Her mission was simple. Fly to Denver, walk into her son's corner office without notice, and remind him that no title excused skipping his mother's birthday hug. What he didn't know? She also planned to attend his company's gala that evening. Front row. No announcement. Just a quiet presence that would make even his boardroom heavyweights take notice. Ticket. First class. Thank you very much. Lucille moved toward the priority line with quiet pride, not arrogance. A young white couple helped retrieve her glove when she dropped it. She gave them a nod, the kind only black matriarchs deliver. Blessing and lesson, all in one dot. Then came the voice, clipped. Cold. All edges, no warmth. Pre-boarding hasn't started. Step aside. The gate agent's name was Stephanie. Blonde, early 30s, blazer tight enough to whisper discomfort. She didn't even glance at the ticket Lucille held like a badge of honor. I'm in first class, dear. I just need some assistance walking down. Stephanie barely blinked. Unless you're military or Diamond Elite, you're not priority. Lucille blinked slowly, then Stephanie muttered it. Not loud, but not low enough. You people always try this. The words hit like cold steel. But Lucille? She didn't flinch. She tilted her head. Excuse me. Stephanie rolled her eyes. I'm not a wheelchair attendant. I'm flight crew. Go wait over there. Dismissed. Degraded. Diminished. But Lucille didn't argue. Not yet. She stepped aside, posture straight, hands folded over her cane like a sentinel. Behind her, the couple who helped her stood frozen. The husband looked ready to speak, but Lucille raised one hand gently. Not out of fear, out of command. She wasn't done. She was choosing her moment. And in that moment, the air changed. There's a silence that follows disrespect. A hush that says, we saw that. Even the toddlers paused. Phones lowered. Eyes lifted that a teenage girl whispered to her brother. She didn't even check her ticket. A man in a baseball cap opened Twitter. Lucille stood still. Her left hand trembled slightly around the cane. Not from age, from restraint, from the sacred energy it takes to hold back fire earned over decades. Stephanie, meanwhile, turned up the charm, greeted 2 white men in suits like royalty, carried one of their bags herself. Funny how able her legs became. Then the door to the side office clicked open. Out stepped Jocelyn, early 30s. Navy uniform, shoulders squared. No name tag needed. She didn't walk. She moved with authority. Her eyes met Lucille's. And they changed. Worry. Recognition. Anger. Not the wild kind, but the calm, focused fire of someone watching her own aunt disrespected in public. She walked straight to Lucille. Ma'am, are you all right? Her hand reached gently for Lucille's elbow, not out of duty but care. Stephanie swooped in, tone sharp. She's just confused. I already told her she can't pre-board. Lucille didn't even glance at her. Jocelyn turned slowly. She's in first class. She said she was. Then the young woman from earlier stepped forward. She showed me her ticket. You dismissed her. Silence. Jocelyn took Lucille's hand, looked at the ticket, and stiffened. You should have been boarded already. Let me find someone to walk you. Lucille smiled. No need. I can walk. Just walk with me. Stephanie scoffed, turned on her heel. But Jocelyn didn't move. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes glistened with restrained truth. And that's when everyone understood. Lucille wasn't asking to be special. She was demanding to be seen. The plane was pristine. Leather, lighting, hushed tones. Stephanie moved like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just buried her own career at the gate. Then Lucille stepped in. Jocelyn at her side. Every head turned out. A businessman in row 2 stood. Please take my seat, ma'am. Lucille smiled. That calm nod again. Thank you, but I've got mine. She settled into seat 1A. And there, everything changed. The first officer approached discreetly. Ma'am, if you'd like to file a report. Lucille interrupted, voice light. No need. But you should call Elijah. He paused. You mean Elijah Carter? She nodded. That's my boy. The man turned. Pale eye in the galley. Stephanie sneered, laughing. Some old woman thinking she's special. I don't care who she is. The other attendant backed away. The first officer entered the cockpit. You need to hear this, he told the captain. Moments later, a knock on the galley door. Stephanie opened it. Fake smile intact. The captain stood there, not smiling. We have a problem, he said. What kind? The woman in 1A is Lucille Carter. Okay, Elijah Carter's mother. The CEO. Our CEO. Stephanie's world collapsed. She was flying incognito. Didn't want fuss. But you created a storm. Cameras caught it. I didn't know. You didn't ask. That's the difference. I thought she was just what? Another black woman trying to get ahead? She had a first-class ticket. You treated her like a stowaway. Silence. You need to apologize. And pray she accepts. Stephanie stumbled to 1A. Lucille stared out the window. Stephanie whispered, Ma'am, I'm sorry if there was any confusion. No response. I didn't know who you were. Lucille turned. There it is. You'd have helped me if I were someone. But all you saw was a black woman with a cane. Stephanie trembled. That meant I didn't belong to you. Didn't deserve help. Or your eyes. I didn't mean it. You meant it. And that's the problem. The woman in 1B leaned in. We all saw it. Don't pretend now. Stephanie whispered. I could lose my job. Lucille softened. Not pity. Grace. Then maybe next time you'll see people before you decide who matters. By landing, the internet was on fire. Hashtag Lucille Carter. Hashtag First Class Truth 2 videos. Point 1. Stephanie dismissing her without looking. Point 2. Lucille's calm power in the air. Malcolm Carter was trending. CEO of Avion Air. His mother's face now viral. At the terminal, security met Lucille. Not to escort. To honor. She walked out untouched. Next day, press conference. Elijah stood at the podium. My mother asked for no recognition. Just fairness. That didn't happen. He paused. Stephanie Rivers no longer works for this airline. Gasps. But this isn't about one person. It's about who we choose to see. Lucille stood behind him. Poised. Silent. Enough. Then came the video. Legacy in seat 1A. Photos. Marches. Teaching. Raising Elijah. Narrated by Lucille herself. I didn't want headlines. I wanted a path. Final scene. Lucille, on a new flight, greeted with respect. Final words. Respect should never require a name tag. And that was it. She never asked to be remembered. But now, no one would forget. Lucille Carter, more than a passenger. A legacy in motion.